rehabilitated, how many are still, going to be, what kind of a land do we have, is it uncontaminated, and so these are the issues that the governance has to look into it, so that when a potential funder comes in, you can direct that funder in a very right way, because the spatial development plan is already directing that person to do so. And at the same time, we have at the provincial to develop a renewable energy roadmap. I think there are other provinces that are doing the same. I think even ourselves, we have to do that. I think we have to sit, because now we have the Mpumalanga Green Economy Cluster, that we have to utilize as a mechanism to respond to all these challenges that we have. And if you look again on the alignment, we have to align all our policies to be in that. Maybe in conclusion, what I could say, that we have to recognize that we have a unique challenge as Nkangala district. You are not rehearsing. You are already in the situation. It's not that you are going to be put in 2-3 days and say, rehearse first and see whether you can act very well. And then after that, they put you on stage to say, you are already on stage. You find yourself in a stage. And then in the stage, you have to think quick, because more than anything, and fast, because all this impact is going to be economically impacting negatively and socially negatively. So meaning that your mind should be in par with the situation that is going on. So the uniqueness of it, you have to recognize it, and at the same time make sure that whatever you develop is a social broad-based solution. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You cannot take Poland experience and just apply it at Nkangala district. You have to make sure that whatever is being applicable, yes, we might have common challenges, but they are totally different. You have to recognize that. So because more than anything, the other international, they're coming with their own ideas to say, this is how we did it. But when we come to our municipalities and our district, it might not be exactly fitting to that box that maybe they've created, maybe we are cycle. And then if you check the regional, I'm so sorry for the spelling mistake, the regional reconvention. So far, I think currently you're still at Nkangala, you haven't gone somewhere else to learn that exchange platform that has been created to say, really we are here. What is it that we can learn from the other country? You always hear them coming to you to say, this is what we have done. So somewhere, somehow, you have to go to them to say, what is it, so that you can be able to ask critical questions from their side to say, how did you manage this? Especially, how did you manage the social safe network, and how did you manage the investment model that we have set for the people? Because the developing countries, they already have the safe social safety net, that if a person loses their jobs here, there are already funds that are allocated. But as developing countries, we don't have that. So we have to find a mechanism in order to do that. And we have to come up with a long-term sustainable model that is going to account for social economy and technically electricity affordability for our community and the environment at large. If you check, basically, the environment is being negatively impacted. So at the same time, this is the ecological services that we have to look to say, how can it create a job for us? Because we have the nature-based solution of creating more and more jobs. So somewhere, somehow, these are the issues that we have to look into it. And let us review all our policies and make sure that when the opportunities of the renewables are coming in, we are already ready as the district. If you are not ready as a district, you don't have the willing framework, you don't have whatever. All these policies that should be in place, supply, demand, whatever, there are a lot of policies that are attached to it. We have to be ready so that when a person comes in, we'll be asking the correct question, not the person telling us, what is it that you have to do? So more than that, it needs a readiness on that. And at the same time, the growth economy strategy beyond 2050. These are the issues that we have to start now engaging on it, and at the same time focusing more on the just transition, not only on just energy transition, because there's a great difference between the two. But currently we look more on the energy and leave aside on the just transition. That is consisting of a lot of issues. Currently at the departmental sector, we have developed sort of like a just transition frame, sort of landscape. And that landscape, it unpacks the effects, the the current situation and all these other issues. It's what the district needs to have to just identify their risk, transition effect, transition impact, transition solution, and transition opportunities, so that each and every person, when comes in here, you'll say, this is what we want. It becomes much more simpler in that. And at the same time, the labor migration and mitigation plan, and at the same time, we have to raise awareness each and every time. So we have to work closely with the NGOs that are already being capacitated to ensure that it reaches that information reach sort of its impact on the local level, so that when we're making decisions, it shouldn't be coming sort of like a top-down approach, but a bottom-up approach. I think so far, and we need energy transition and economical impact assessment. These are the things that really Nkangala should mean. It should mean for them when they talk about just transition. So in totality, these are the elements that I could indicate. I'm so sorry, Chair, for taking such a long time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think it's quite a good thing to be well informed. I'm very impressed with the two presentations given now. And now what I'm going to... Thank you, Malbongwe. Yeah, and I'm going to give you a bit of few minutes to ask questions on the two presentations. But as you are preparing the questions to be asked, I'm going to pronounce the panel that they come forward as they get their house together here at the front. Then I'll be coming back to you to get to know your questions for them to be responded to. The panel is going to deal or to discuss the theme, which is skills, training, requirements, and funding and finance for a just energy transition. Sure. Yeah, this is the theme, and the panel facilitator is Mr. Res Kanju, the director for Indalo Inclusive. They will be giving their focused areas, and the panelists are Mr. Ronnie Masina from the Senior Electrical Lecturer, Nkangala TVET College, Mr. Kabelo Masilo, Planning and Monitoring Manager, AWS CETA, Mr. Indani Kunziwa, Mr. Indani Kunzingana. I'm very sorry about my pronunciation. And there's LG CETA, number 4, Indalo Inclusive, Dr. Noel Ayango van Sweden. Ah. Okay, yeah. You pardon me if I do something contrary to your name. It's from the Wageningen University and conducting a research on the just transition. And number 5, we have Iris Ghana LG CETA. Number 6, we have Mr. Shodrek Rampia Pedi. Number 7, we have Noel Foster. These are the panelists. I will request them to ascend the stage and get themselves organized, and we be able to hear on their discussions. But in the meantime, let's have those whom they have questions to ask as the panelists are coming forth. The panelists and questions. That's what I'm waiting for. I see one hand at the back, which will be one. Let me move around because this TV here might obscure my vision. Who else? Is only one hand that I saw. Up to this far, is there any other hand? The Honorable Executive Mayor, Nkangala District. Two hands. Okay. I think they will represent you well, these two hands. Let me start with the one right at the back. Someone to give the mic at the back. Is our panelist coming forth? Are they present, Mr. Mangani? Or they are still caucusing? Because I thought they will also hear the questions to be asked, and where possible, they incorporate them in their discussions. MMC Makabani, you are welcome. I just saw you now. Thank you very much. Is the mic at the back given? Right at the back, there.
Yeah, I've got it, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, I think...
Oh, you are requested to stand up because the cameras must catch your face.
Okay. So, Chair, I think I'm a little bit worried about the fact that Council for Geoscience is talking about a process of doing, I would say, water rehabilitation, especially taking into consideration that we've got a huge problem with acid mine drainage in the area. But not only is it a problem, it also affects the competency of local municipalities in terms of water provision. But my biggest worry is how is it possible that a national structure is going to come in a local municipality, do water rehab without properly involving and sharing the expertise with local government. And I'm raising this because in Emalahleni, there's a water treatment plant that is being owned by the municipality, and it's standing there. It's just a white elephant. And then we've got Mintech and Council for Geoscience going to Emalahleni, rehabilitating water without engaging or extending those skills to local government. So for me, it's how do we ensure that we capacitate municipalities? I mean, we're talking about government to government here. We're not even talking about private sector. And if government to government cannot build each other's capacity, then I think the entire community is going to have a problem. So I would like to know from Council for Geoscience to say, how are they working with municipalities so that they share the expertise they have with local government so that we have those local expertise? Secondly, Chair, I think the whole issue of derelict mines becomes a problem. And taking into consideration that if we build enough PV plants within Nkangala district, we will most definitely need land. Now, it's very tricky because in each and every session we go to, we keep saying to DMRE, you've got rehab funds, bring those funds here. You know, bring those funds so that we can begin a process where people can rehabilitate their land. But also, ordinary people need to start deciding how to use that land. And given that some of these mines are derelict, ownerless, and we know that it is part of the municipal competency to decide land use. So I think those mines need to be properly rehabilitated. Then the municipalities, in consultation with communities, can decide how best to use that land. So for me, it would be interesting for CGS to point out the areas that they have rehabilitated so that both the municipality and community people can start deciding how that land will be used. Chair, I want to strongly emphasize and I want to implore the district, municipality and local government. One, if we are serious about dealing with climate change and transitioning away from fossil fuels, we need to stop allocating land to mines, period. Because I think the MRE is messing us all around. On one hand, they're talking just transition. I'm sure right now, as we speak, they're busy approving other mining rights in the same area. So it's not clear what direction we're taking as a municipality, as a county, just because of them. So I think we need to strongly urge the MRE to say, stop issuing mining rights, so that when we say you are transitioning, then it is very clear what we are doing. Chair, I'm not going to touch a lot on this, but I would want us to honestly and very deliberately start talking about the role of the district, municipality and local government in the whole process of a just transition. Because everywhere you go, whether it's the Presidential Climate Commission or you meet with the Mpumalanga Green Cluster, it is not clear what we expect from local government. And I think it will be fair enough for us to discuss that, but also say, how do we get resources for local government to perform those functions? Because it might be an added function. How do we allocate resources and build their capacity to perform those functions? And yesterday I saw GIZ was here, and if GIZ is still here, I would recommend that GIZ gives municipalities those resources so that whatever role we say the municipalities must play, then they must have proper resources to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mhlonishwa Executive Mayor, Ngangala District, Mama Buza.
Thank you very much, Program Facilitator, the Acting Speaker. And let me take this opportunity to greet those that have came after we've opened this session, and want to appreciate the two presentations presented here. Ke tlo bua Sekgowa, ke bue Sesotho, ke khulume isikhethu, so that sonke we are in understanding of some inputs. We want to appreciate the presentation made by Geoscience, which I became excited, Executive Mayor, from yesterday when I have learned that there is an entity of government that can also assist us in resolving the issues of water that we had in the district. Indeed, local municipalities have been drilling and find mines acid water for us to be unable to provide water. And when you are saying in your presentation, you are also having a responsibility of clean water mapping for us to be able to drill in a correct direction, for us to be able to provide water. That is sort of giving us a relief that indeed there should be a discussion between ourselves and the entity of government, that is Geoscience, to assist us with provision of water on the areas where we believe that we've drilled more than 200 boreholes, but we couldn't find suitable water for our people. And I must indicate that the Geoscience in its presence, I don't know where you located in terms of the offices, because now that you've been allocated an added responsibility of the jet transition or the renewable energy and dealing with the mines, it is fundamental that your offices should also be located within the district, because you're now doing work at our district for us to be able probably to move better on this issue of the renewable energy. What also pleases me in terms of Geoscience is that indeed, when you are talking about the mine rehabilitation, we are saying in this summit, it's important that we also taking into cognizance that we're moving it in one plan. And Tate Manganye, the issue of one plan and the Geoscience as an entity of government becomes fundamental, because when they rehabilitate, as well as they try to help us on rehabilitating water in terms of clean water provision, it's important that they should be on the space, so that in the stream where we're talking about this provision of water, as part of our service delivery. Therefore, the geoscience should be able to be in the space to help us better. For us to be able to analyze, because indeed, I think government has enough provision of resources. But in the manner in which we are presenting ourselves in parallel structures and doing one and the same thing, because we do not understand that government entities becomes available on the basis that we as local municipalities should utilize them. And geoscience has exposed itself better in this summit to say they are here, they are available. But wanting to understand that in their provision of services for local municipalities to provide services to our people, particularly as they deal with mine rehabilitation and water, clean water mapping and re-cleaning of the water, what could be the cost in that regard? Do they have it on the basis that we're all government, they will come and deploy their own staff to do that, or is there any cost implications? The second matter is the matter of the Department of Agriculture. You know, every time when Medudu presents, I just want to close. I really want to close. You came to our strat plan, you gave us our strategic plan, and we said there is no reason for us to stay here. Let us close it. And today we are doing the same thing to me again, to say, what is it, what else that do we want to achieve if this presentation from our own government, sector government, agriculture, where is presented by Medudu Spear, is saying, what is it that we need to do for us to be able to come closer in terms of this just transition? And you are opening our eyes into saying, we were looking of a renewable energy as this commodity that is now giving stress on all of us. I'm not talking about Emalahlen and Steve Chot, on the entire district, because you have Dr. Joy S. Muroka, that people are migrating for better opportunities for the two municipalities. You have Tembisile that is overcrowding on the basis that people believe that there should be a proximity of Tshwane and Tembisile, and therefore there could be a development that is taking place there. But you are talking of our commodities, our mandate as local government, that is that of service delivery, to say what is the impact of the jet transition in terms of service delivery. And indeed, that assists us because in developing our framework, we must be able to say the impact thereof on these issues that is of our mandate, that of providing water, that of road construction, that of electricity. What is then the impact, which we really appreciate. However, possibilities that agriculture can come and teach us, as well as Amakosi, together in one room, for us to be able to understand going forward the issue of the jet transition, because it is important that all councillors, all relevant stakeholders that communicate with our society should then be afforded an opportunity to be skilled better, for us to be able to communicate better with our society. That is what I wanted to bring on and present to this summit. And thank you very much, facilitator.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Executive Mayor. Quite a mouthful. And the questions needs to be responded to are two, but I'm going to sponsor you with just also one short question, geoscience. You know, the nature has its way of balancing itself, but human activities bring the imbalances. And now, with those imbalances we created, we are now trying to reverse them. And you talk of carbon dioxide being captured and put underground. In a long run, is that not going to create another form of imbalance in relation to life that is taking place underground, the trees, and so on, including, of course, underground water? So that is the question I'm sponsoring as the third question. Can we have responses, please?
Greetings. My name is Mbuyiseni Ngobo. I'm representing the Council for Geoscience. The presenter is shifted the responsibility and asked me that I handle the questions that have been put on the floor. And greetings and all protocol observed without tampering with the protocol issues. Program Director, there are 3 questions which I've summarized them into 3 categories. The one being on the water rehabilitation program that you have in Mpumalanga, and the reason why or if CGS is involving the stakeholders. So how we work as a Council for Geoscience is that stakeholder is key in our implementation of programs and projects. So this water rehabilitation program is or was conducted in Gert Sibande District Municipality under the municipality of Msugaligwa local municipality. Msugaligwa, okay. So prior to us being on the ground, the approach that you have adopted is that we firstly present ourselves to the leadership of the area, and we engage with various stakeholders, be it landowners, amakosi, and the area's businesses, and the communities at large, before these programs are implemented. So in regards to this program, we have a very good relationship with Gert Sibande, more so that we've got even more programs that we are implementing within the district. So that sort of stakeholder engagement is done and is there. And to that effect, they've invited us to a number of their IDP plenary sessions, to which we've participated both at the district as well as the local level. In terms of the ownerless mines and how, where we have been able to close some of these shafts. So this has been taken in the area towards Mbombela, closer to the Komati port plant. So this is where most of these shafts have been closed. So this program is being undertaken in collaboration with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, which is our mother department. It's not a CGS-driven program, but it's a DMRE-driven program. CGS is providing technical support. Executive Mayor, we are welcoming the proposal to engage further, to look at the modalities of how we can be able to implement the issue of groundwater. We are more than welcome. We will exchange with the contact details with your officials so that we can start then engaging going forward. We also noted your proposal to have an office close by, so that at least there's alignment. So CGS, as it is established, we've got about 6 offices. Unfortunately, in Mpumalanga, there is nothing. However, we are just 2 hours away, so it makes it very easy for us to come in and out. So in these 6 offices, we've got a head office in Pretoria, we've got an office in Polokwane, which takes care of the northern region, and we've got an office in Northern Cape, we've got an office in Western Cape, and another one in Gqeberha, and the last one in KZN. So how they are strategically structured is that we're able to respond to issues around all the 9 provinces of the country. So, but we are available. We are your entity as government. In terms of how these projects are being implemented, if CGS, if there's there are cost implications. So as I said, that we are one of your own. We are available. However, because we have these mutually reinforcing mandates that we need to look at, we'll probably have to meet each other halfway. But of course, the modalities thereof will be discussed during our meetings on how then we can be able to assist each other. We do get funding from government, so we're a Schedule 3A entity, just like yourselves. So we'll have to see how then do we meet each other halfway. while we are providing the technical expertise. Program Director, the process of carbon capture and storage is that we get coal from underground. And how the research that we are looking at is basically taking back the CO2 where we found it from. Though that at this point we are looking at a different geological formation, which is a basalt salt. It is not. We are not looking basically at an areas where we are mining coal, but basically we are sort of putting CO2 back where it comes from. However, there are a number of studies that are being conducted to ensure safety, so that we understand the geology before we start the injection. These are the some of the things that the speaker spoke about in terms of doing the characterization. So we are looking at both, looking at where the fresh groundwater is, looking where the CO2 can be safely stored without contaminating anything, and of course we are looking at how the CO2 will react with the environment so that there is no damage in the subsurface. I think I might add that we are a custodian of the national seismic stations. So what it means is that we will be able to then analyze and alert stakeholders if there are any triggers during the process of carbon capture and storage. I'm not sure if I've covered all the questions, but thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, thank you. No, thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. I've learned from geoscience that I have to come in front. Currently, on our Mpumalanga draft, Just Transition Phase 1, we highlighted 10 climate technologies: the renewable energy, the sustainable aviation fuel production. Currently, the WWF has conducted a study at a national level on how to produce a aviation fuel. But what we requested from their side to say, can you cascade it down now to Nkangala and Harsibande, where it's going to be negatively impacted by the just transition? So we are still looking for funders on cascading it down, but they agreed that they can do that. So through that whole process, they are going to use the unrehabilitated land. I think I fully agree with the groundwork that we have to determine how many land do we have and what we can use that. Because they are planning to plant salaries. It's agricultural sort of like a crop. That salaries can produce the aviation fuel. And at the same time, we say currently, because we might not have the structure, but at the same time, we can link directly to Sasol. That Sasol can continue producing that. So we are still in a negotiation with the Mpumalanga Green Economy Cluster to see how viable it is. But at the same time, this is kind of an opportunity, because more than anything, we are not looking at renewable, but on the other climate technologies. The circular economy. Currently, there are other community members that are doing sort of like taking the fly ash, converting into bricks. Currently, they produce 22,000. But more than anything, they want to commercialize it so that the RDP and other activities, like they're going to make even, the fiber, lama pipe, lama cool. Yeah, so they can make even that, so that now we can have sort of like a circular economy hub. They already leasing 85 hectares. They say they want to make it sort of like kind of big. That is where most of the support has to be happening. Currently, CSRR has conducted a work package for that on coal waste beneficiations to understand how much a product can come up from coal. If we are not going to use it for electricity, what other product can we use for the coal? Because we have the natural resource that is free for us. So therefore, like now we have to expand it more. So another one is a sustainable agriculture. Currently, if you check Nkangala alone, I think it's 3% on agricultural sector. So now how can we maximize it in utilizing most of the sort of subsistence farming, and then maybe on that land that is being degraded or unrehabilitated, unremediated, what is it that we can do more on that land? By looking on how can we just change sort of the soil content. If one person can change from a pH of 2 to now doing an organic sort of farming in Clarinet, it means that we can do that for us. So there are other projects that are already happening around the area that we can maximize on it. And the e-mobility, that we can just look at it. And the green building, currently, you could see that we as municipality, you are losing a lot of anything. We can just open this. So these are the issues: electricity utilization and on water efficiency. How can we utilize the water? We are to small la enkangala. I think yellow self bed. Both small vula a toilet to toleman la shisako, a giza. And you wonder what's not like, is it, you know? And we can put a solar panels here. It's not like it's just like electricity through that. These are the opportunities on the green building side that we can utilize. If you check the ecotourism, if you check on the GDP of Nkangala district, there's nothing on tourism. But why can't we do our botanical garden here? Why can't we do our Gold Reef City here? Underground. Why can't we convert it into our sort of like a Gold Reef City? Gold Reef City. But every person that is coming from Mozambique and Swaziland, we capture them here. And then after that, we have to think outside of the box in terms of that. And the nature-based solution. We have our waterfalls around the area of Emakazeni. But now, because we are leaving those kind of activities, so I invadwa. So tolabantu bakhe imikhuku na all these other things, we lose our natural resources. And at the same time, the area becomes so sort of like a danger zone. So these are the things that we have to think outside of the box of the other activities that we can think of. The carbon storage removal captured, I think the geoscience has said it in extensively. It's one of that, and the green hydrogen. So these are I wanted to highlight most of the climate technology. We had a training, I think in more than yesterday. We targeted Steve Twete, Emalahleni, and the 3 districts. In October, we capacitated them for 2 days. But what we were thinking of doing, not just to come and say just transition, but we're coming in to say, let us look at economic diversification of all these climate technologies that I've mentioned. So we started with the renewable energy. I think my colleagues yesterday from the other municipalities, we have seen how much they've done. Going to go to e-mobility, we are going to go to circular economy, but we have to make sure that there are traditional leaders of the House of Traditional Leaders. I think there were 5, Amakosi Etu, and then after that, they had a buy-in. So we had a sponsor that was supposed to train them, especially on the local level. So we were going there to request whether that we're supposed to train them in April. They shifted to May, they shifted in June, and then in August, the funder says no, they cannot wait anymore. So they utilize the fund to something else because of the elections that took such a long time. So we are really, really willing to train and capacitate the traditional leaders, the faith-based organization, Abafundisi, and at the same, our political leaders. The whole process, because more than anything, it's not going to be there for a long time. And at the same time, we have established the compact of mayors and administrators. So it means that the MMs and the mayors of the municipalities, we're supposed to have the compact of mayors at Kruger National Park on the 8th and 9th of December, but due to the national conference, we realized that we might not be striking to the relevant people. So after that, we shifted it to the 23rd and 24th of February. And then we would really appreciate to have our traditional leaders and our faith-based organization, because we'll be talking about the Just Energy Implementation Plan on how now are we going to unpack basically the implementation. But prior to that, Executive Mayor, what I might kindly request is that we have that governance at a district level, so we can unpack the transition risks, and then at the same time the effect and the impact, and ensure that we have solution and opportunity from there. If we can start with that, any person that comes in, if the district can have that, it will be much more simpler, because any person that comes in, we said, this is our risks, and then this is our opportunity. Stick to our opportunities, and we'll be able to elevate it at the IDP. And at the IDP, we can say it's still going to be invested. It's still going to be invested. That any person that comes in at the district, we show them that we have it. We might not categorize it according to the project, but we can come up in terms of these climate technologies. That any person that comes in these climate technologies, it already is captured. Because more than anything, we can untangle it to a lower level to see what is it that is happening. I think on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, now we will be having our panel. Honorable Executive Mayor, I think this shows that South Africa is capable. It's just, as you said, we work as a divided house. Maybe one way or the other, we have to come into one house and work as a team and ensure that all the skills that are outlined in the presentations, they find an opportunity for implementation. The money is thrown away because we work in solos. So thank you very much, presenters. The panelists, the leader of the panel, if you come forward, so as when they see you coming forward, then they will follow you. And in the meantime, Honorable Executive Mayors, I'm not sure after this, should we break for tea, or you think we should complete the program? We complete the program. Okay. We will complete the program, and after we have completed the program, then we can have some tea. You are most welcome, Baetapele ba rena, in the discussion.
Good morning. some of us are not as flex as you may think. We may not be able to jump when certain things fall on us. Good morning. My name is Rest Kanju. I work for an organization called Indalo Inclusive South Africa. We're based in Pretoria. I'm very excited to be here today. I think, and I hope it's going to be a very interesting and lively panel. We've been given a topic before I introduce my panelists. We've been given a very simple topic, but I think it's possibly the most relevant as all the other discussions have been today. This morning when I walked and I drove into the gate, the security official at the gate said something very profound. You may not think of it as profound, but said something very profound to me and said the following: I hope that today you will come up with a solution for our energy problems in South Africa. This was a security officer at the gate today. The issues that we deal with, the issues that we've gathered here for, at the basic level have to do with livelihoods and the well-being of people. When we hear emotions, when we hear people making noise, these issues are about the basic livelihoods of people. I need to recognize that I'm in the presence of royalty. I need to recognize the leadership, traditional leadership of the country, or of this district in particular, the Honorable Executive Mayor. Thank you so much for honoring us. The honorable councillors that are here today, senior managers, our social partners, and all sector departments represented. I also would like to introduce my panelists in the panel this afternoon that is titled Skills, Training Requirements, Funding and Finance for a Just Transition. Mr. Roni Masina, who is the Senior Electrical Lecturer at Nkangala TVET College, is with us today. Mr. Yuri Peterse, who is the manager of the Nkomati Power Station, is with us here today. Mr. Shadrach Ramtwapedi, right? I hope I pronounced that well. He's with the local government SITA. And thank you so much for embracing us. My introduction, again, was saying this about the livelihoods of people. At the center of this, the cry that we've seen over the years, and now, in fact, is really about what are we going to do as we transition, what are we going to be doing with the skills, with the jobs that are being shared, what are we going to do with opportunities and prospects for employment for our young people. The work that we do at Indalo Inclusive on a day-to-day basis, it's inundated and focused on supporting entrepreneurs that are involved into eco-inclusive space. And one of the things that we find across the different landscapes of this country is that young people continue to look for opportunities, but most importantly, they look for funding. Young people are also frustrated about the fact that the world is changing so fast, and in fact, the transition is happening faster than them and faster than the resources that are actually available. So therefore, there is a dilemma about how do we acquire new skills, but over and above that, how do we ensure that we explore opportunities that entrepreneurship may actually provide to us as young people. I want to start with my panel discussion this morning and ask Mr. Yuri, and in fact each of the panelists, starting with Mr. Yuri, to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what Nkomati and the work that you do is currently involved in, and what opportunities exist within that space. And then we'll go to my next panelist and we'll introduce ourselves in that manner.
Good morning. I'm Yuri Peterse, the General Manager for Nkomati Power Station. Yeah, and like we indicated yesterday, the last unit was shut down on the 31st of October. So we're not producing any electricity currently, so I cannot be responsible for load shedding on a lighter note. So just to take note. But I think we've got an important and a big job ahead of us at Nkomati, where we want to establish the renewables first for Eskom of the fleet, and also then create a Kumati training facility which we can use to upskill and reskill Eskom staff as well as surrounding community members and for the greater Mpumalanga in the years to come. So the intention is really for Kumati to create this training facility and have a duplication of what's available currently at Saratec, and with time also even improve it to extent whereby we can become the training hub for renewables in Mpumalanga. You will also have seen in the news that Grootvlei Power Station situated close to Heidelberg. Also, we intend to duplicate such a training facility in the future there to cater for the areas in the Gauteng region, which is outside of Mpumalanga. So my work is basically managing the current staff complement, as also be part of the initiatives and the projects at Kumati for renewables, including the Kumati training facility. And for the Kumati training facility, there's been an agreement between the funder and Saratec, which is the South African Renewable Energy Technology Center, situated at Bellville, and also part of the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. So the idea why we want to use Saratec to recreate what they have in the Cape here in Mpumalanga is because they've done all the hard work already. They've established all the curriculums, it's accredited. They've trained a number of people for Western Cape, for the independent power producers and the market in that area, as well as the Northern Cape. So to prevent us from wasting time to start with the reskilling, upskilling and changing the livelihood of people in the Kumati area and also for the greater Mpumalanga, it was essential that we embark on this avenue to ensure that we can timelessly get this training center established and in operation. So having said that, you will notice that all the power station areas are national key points. So it makes it extremely difficult to cater for community individuals and external people to train them inside the station perimeter. So being said that, the idea was then also to create a community training facility outside the station perimeter, still in Eskom property, so that we can also allow the opportunity for training our community, the surrounding community specifically, and then also extend it further with time to the greater Mpumalanga.
Okay.
So that is in short where we are at Kumati. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very succinct introduction and outline and overview of the work that you do. We'll come back with some questions. And ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do also, please note your questions at the end of the round of the panel. We'll also take time to give you an opportunity to ask questions. Mr. Masina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ronnie Masina, and I'm coming from Nkangala TVET College, particularly in the Witbank campus, top of the world training center. So first, just to talk about the college, what it did in the past. In the past, what we did, we basically were recruiting students, young students, and then training them, and then releasing them to training centers to train them. We were training them on the theoretical part, and then releasing them to training providers to train them on the skilling to produce artisans in the end. But now in 2013, 2014, Nkangala saw the need to purchase a training center of its own, which is top of the world training center. So now what we are doing currently, we recruit students, we train them on the theory, and we train them on the skills. We skill them. By the time we release them, they are qualified artisans, meaning electricians, boiler makers, welders, and fitters going forward. So basically the economy of Mpumalanga is about the mining. It's actually highly dependent on the mining and the power stations. So I can just say it is engineering skills that were needed. So it is why we actually keep on producing engineering skills. So the future tells us that there is going to be a transitioning into renewable energies in order to actually cut back on the carbon emissions. So now what we can do, and we have actually had plans already, we have got plans, is that we can, with the current skilled artisans, and some of them have even gone on to become technicians, there are certain gaps that we can actually bridge by actually providing a reskilling lab or maybe skills gap programs, and actually even to start afresh with new recruits and actually skill them for the new technologies in the energy sector. The challenge that we are having currently is the funding, because then top of the world in its current form, it is self-sustaining, meaning we depend on the funds that we generate from the training of those artisans. So if we are going to have another reskilling lab, we are actually having this challenge of funding, because then we will actually have to expand our resources in terms of the training and stuff like that. So yeah, we are very much part of the new economy, which is renewable, and in terms of providing skills as well.
Great. We will come back to you also with Yuri. But talking about funding, let me allow Mr. Ramsapedi to give us an overview of what the LGCTA is about and the work that you do.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Shadrach Ramchapedi from LGCTA. Currently, there are 21 CITAs in the country. Each and every sector of economy, it has its own CITA. Like the energy and water, they've got EW CITA. The mining sector, it has its own CITA. Banking sector, they've got their own CITA. So ours is local government CITA. We focus on the local government. So as CITAs, we've got different vision and missions, but the mandate of CITAs is one, is to develop the skills of South Africans. And then the LG CITA is very important because it covers each and every geographical area of the country. So we offer learning interventions like bursaries, learnerships, internships, work integrated learning, and apprenticeships, even RPL. So on those learning interventions, we offer on a qualification that is relevant to the local government sector. Like I said before, each and every sector, it has a CITA. So, and each CITA, they offer the same learning intervention that I've just mentioned, but with different on the qualification, because the mining sector will offer the qualification that they are relevant to the mining sector. So LG CITA will offer on the qualification that they are relevant to the local government sector. As LG CITA, we have got more than 53 qualifications that we have registered with SAQA. Some of them is environmental practice, municipal finance and administration. We've got municipal governance, fire and rescue operations. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We will definitely come back to you on the funding issue, especially as it relates to the TVET colleges. To you and Mr. Masina, I happened to be exposed to Komati for the first time yesterday, and I saw the impressive work in terms of the training center that you're doing there, as well as the pilot aquaponics project that you've set up there. And I'm excited to hear that there is an importation of skills from CPUT, Cape Peninsula Technikon, University of Technology. My question would be, with regards to the Nkangala TVET College, what linkages and opportunities exist, between the work that you do there? Mr. Masina talks about the Nkangala as the top, TVET college and training facility, and want to congratulate you on that. And I think it just speaks again to the issue that was alluded to earlier, that South Africa is endowed with a lot of resources and technical expertise. So my question specifically is, what kind of linkages exist? You are here in Mpumalanga and Komati, you've got CPUT, from Cape Peninsula, and here's the Kangala College here. Is the plans now, is there anything happening now, or are there plans for the future for the two of you to collaborate? You can start, Yuri, or both of you can answer, depending on who wants to answer. I'm setting you up to court yourself. Maybe you want to start dating now.
Thank you. And I think it's an important question. And as I've listened to what Ronnie can offer and what Cedric can offer, I think it's an ample opportunity for us to join hands, because where I will need a boiler maker, he can provide a boiler maker, and I can take that boiler maker and create a wind turbine technician of that boiler maker in the future. So I think that it's opening up the doors for additional initiatives, and we'll have to work together and with local government CETA to ensure that the skills that we have, we can upskill them as well, but also to incorporate new skills and new candidates that don't have those skills. Because I think it's essential that we must also remember, if we look at the social economic impact assessment draft report, you will realize that a number of especially the communities surrounding Komati, the skills levels are quite low. So you have to start somewhere. So you cannot always look at the requirements for a specific course or a specific qualification. You'll have to also embed in that a program where you can upskill from root level, so you can take these people through the steps, also one day to become an artisan or a technician for that matter. So, and I think it's important, and I see there's a lot of opportunities for us, and surely going back, I will see with my local stakeholder meetings if we can't involve local government CETA as well as TVET College into that mix, so we can look at the broader spectrum and make sure that nobody is left behind.
No, thank you so much. Talking about no one being left behind, my suggestion, if I were to be part of this conversation, is that I think a bilateral meeting is needed between the two of you, almost immediately, with CPU2. I think I would encourage something like that, because I think there is indeed a real opportunity, and I'm very happy that there is an opportunity to collaborate. Maybe one more question from my side, Yuri. I'm excited to hear that there's an intention to set up a community training facility, and I think we need to congratulate you on that. We know that Komati has now shut down. That's one. Certain people have either been allocated to other positions, or some in the value chain have lost jobs. How long will the training facility? How long will it take for the training facility to be set up? Is it something that's ready now? Is it something that we can look forward to in the near future?
Yeah, it's not ready currently. The process that we followed, remember there was an agreement between Saratec and the funder, and also then an agreement between Eskom and Saratec. And for that matter, there's a project plan, so they're busy with the procurement of a project manager to lead this whole project, because it will be state of the art. The Komati training facility will actually have 3 components. The first being the theoretical classrooms, the second being the technical training facility, which they refer to in the Cape as laboratories, and we call it a technical training facility, whereby you will be trained on installations of PV systems, mounting systems, become a PV technician, also wind turbine technician for that matter, and that is important, because on the community training facility there will only be theoretical training done, but then the people that do qualify to continue with the technical training will in small groups be trained inside the station perimeter, which is more controllable in a national key point environment. So from that perspective, and the intent of the Komati Community Training Center is also to do a lot of soft skill training, like I've indicated earlier. A lot of the community members is not high skilled level, so you want to do computer literacy, you want to do leadership, safety training, etc., so that we can ensure that we can give them a basis once they go into a position or they do apply for a job, that at least they can submit a proper CV with proper information that can allow them the opportunity to get a job.
Thank you. Mr. Masina, you talk about your ability to produce a number of technicians and qualified people as a college. I've got two questions. One is, what kind of skills now in this transition, as you say, we are moving towards that kind of economy, what kind of skills do you think are required that you can produce for this, for the a low carbon economy? But most importantly, do you have the capacity to develop those skills, to develop people who actually have those kind of skills?
Thank you. Oh, thanks, Mr. Okay, just to start at the back, ne? When I said top of the world, I meant the name of the training center. Not that the training
okay.
center is top of the
Okay.
The name of
All
the
right.
training center is top of the world.
Okay.
Training center. Okay, just if I misunderstood, sorry about that. Then the second thing is,
But is it top of the world?
yes, it's top of the
You
world.
produce top of the world.
So far, the feedback from industry hasn't been disappointing. So it means you are doing the right thing. Now, talking about the skills, I will go back to 2009, let's say 2010, before we hosted the World Cup. I remember at the time, the big issue was construction before 2010 of the stadiums. At the time, we needed more people in that sector to provide those skills. Right now, if you look, we are transitioning into renewable energy. One of the presidents did mention that the country must always be able to provide the skills that the country needs. This is what we are trying to align ourselves with. So, a wind turbine is new technology, relatively new, because it might have existed elsewhere, but it's relatively new to many people. But inside, if you go in, there is a gearbox, there is a battery bank. A battery bank, you need an electrician. A gearbox, you need a fitter. So we do have those skills. What we need is a skills gap to align the fitter. Because if you go to mining area, a person who has done fitting, who is an artisan, can actually be given a training to become a track line fitter. So he's a specialist in a track line in a mine, in a open cast, for instance. So in a wind turbine, it's not like it's some foreign object. It contains what we know inside. It's just that you need to align this skilled person with this current technology. Talking also about the solar PV, in the solar farm, there will also be a battery bank. There is wiring. You do need electricians. But the mounting, you do need welders. You do need boiler makers. You understand? You still need these people. You just need to bridge the gap in terms of now how do they use what they know in the new or current technology. So we are able to do that. But as I said, as we need the reskilling lab, we are busy setting it up. The funding can be a challenge because now to train a person, it costs a lot of money. But in the end, the benefits when that person is already skilled actually are all for the rest of the country. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of the skills, there might be new opportunities that may not have existed in the past. When we talk about energy, we are not limited to electrical energy distribution. Remember, carbon emission includes motor vehicles. When you burn your diesel or your petrol in the engine, you release carbon dioxide. So that also is part of the story. So there are electric cars being talked about. In China already there is an electric truck. And you need technicians, you need artisans who are skilled to deal with that. Because now, when you service your car, petrol engine, you need a diesel or a petrol mechanic. But now if you have an electric truck, you don't need that skill anymore. It means you have to take the diesel mechanic and reskill them to realign them with the electric vehicles and stuff like that.
Don't answer this question. Please clap hands for him. Please don't be shy with that. Don't answer this question. But I think it needs to be answered. not now. If, with your articulation, what you're demonstrating here to us, how come you're not part of the ESCOM Training Center in Komati? How come you're not a partner with CPUT? Don't answer that question now. Because the skills are here, they are very clear here. How come it's not coordinated and directed from here? Why do we have to import skills from the Cape Peninsula Technical? Don't answer the question. Yeah. Mr. Ramsapedi, Mr. Masina talks about funding. Okay? I think the kind of things that he is articulating now, it indeed does require funding, right? What kind of appetite resides within the LG SITA in relation to the kind of skills that are required, the skills gaps, and the opportunities that exist with TVET colleges, and more so the opportunities and the willingness of local government in actually making sure that TVET colleges are funded, and therefore young people are reskilled or upskilled into the right kind of technologies that are required for the green transition.
Okay. Let me start by saying this. As LG SITA, we have got two types of funding. The first one is mandatory grant. Mandatory grant is limited to the levy-paying entities only. So those organizations that they don't pay levies, they are not entitled to mandatory grant. So municipalities, because they pay mandatory grant to LG SITA. So as LG SITA, we pay mandatory grant each and every quarter. Per financial year, we pay a mandatory grant for 4 times. So mandatory grant works this way. If a municipality has a payroll of 10,000, the 1% of that payroll need to go to SARS as a form of a levy. So in this regard, if the payroll is 10,000, that means municipality will pay 100 rand as a mandatory grant. So when it goes to SARS, that grant must come back as a mandatory grant is 20%. So 20% of 100 rand is 20 rand. So LG SITA will pay back 20 rand to municipality as a form of mandatory grant. That one is guaranteed. So if the municipality pays the levy, they are guaranteed of mandatory grant. So when we pay a mandatory grant, according to the grant policy of SITA, that money must strictly be utilized to skills development, not to fund other projects. It must strictly be utilized for skills development. Municipality need to capacitate their employees. They can identify any skill or training program that they want to train their employees on. We don't dictate any qualification. And then another type of funding is discretionary grant. That one is open for anyone. It's open for levy-paying entities. It's open for public institutions like the departments and TVET colleges. So normally there's a window. Each and every year we open a window so that the levy-paying entities and public institutions can apply for discretionary grant. So when they apply, the municipalities and TVET colleges, firstly, they identify the learning programs that they are applying for. It can be a bursary, it can be a learnership, it can be internship or artisan program. And also specify the qualification which they are applying for. And then after that, as LG SITA, we have got a discretionary committee which they will evaluate all applications that they are sent by levy-paying entities and public institutions. So on the application, there is a section where it says exit strategy. So we want to know if a TVET college applies for unemployed learners on a certain qualification, what is the exit strategy? They're going to employ those people after they complete or not. So if the exit strategy can convince the decision committee members, they will get the project. But if not, we'll prioritize the applicant that they've got a good exit strategy. And then as LGSTA, each and every year, we do a research of the scarce skills in the local government sector. So normally when we open our window, we encourage public entities to apply for funding that they can train their scarce and critical skills within the local government sector.
Okay. This is the last question from me, and then I want to open to the floor. Maybe it's not a question again. I must comment and say, I think what is needed here, if you look in the landscape of Mpumalanga, specifically in Kangala, because that's what we hear about today, the reality is that there's agency in terms of skills, in terms of funding, in terms of coordination. I don't know if the TVET College can wait for another cycle of a call for applications for either mandatory or discretionary grants. When people have already been retrenched, when people are already going to be retrenched in the next few months or so, and when the college here actually requires resources for skills training, requires resources to engage with the partners that are around. My question is, and again, about whether there is immediate resources that we can start putting together for this coordination to happen. And for, I mean, we're beginning the year next year. The agency of this is quite critical. If we're to be preparing for engineers and people who are upskilled and reskilled, it requires time. So how do we make sure that we expedite this process, that there is resources and adequate and enough resources for the TVET colleges here and the skills that we see that are available here? You don't have to answer that question, but if you want to answer it, please go ahead. And then let's take questions from the floor.
Let me answer that question. It's a very simple question. The good part is that TVET College, Nkangala TVET College, and Nkangala District Municipality, they've already applied at LGCTA. Last week we were conducting due diligence.
Great.
So maybe before the end of this year, calendar year, we will issue the award letters.
Thank you. Well done. That's exciting. Do you want to clap hands for him? For the LG sitter, yeah? Because that's promising, that's immediate, that's there. And we pray and cross our fingers that you do. Can we take a round of questions from the floor?
Can I ask that you start with the delegates? I'll be the last one. Ngoba if I'll speak, then they will not be able to speak.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me see hands. Let me see hands. I didn't know hands. Okay, there's a hand there. Yeah, my sister there. And there's a hand at the back, where there's a hand here in the middle, and there's a hand at the back. So let's say 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one here. Right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's others at the back there. Okay, I'm gonna ask that we are succinct in our questioning, right? So let's start again. Let's just do the numbering properly. So let's start here. My sister there who's standing, that's 1. And then the second hand there is there, that's 2. Who's the third hand? At the back, near the banner of VVMTT, number 3. 4, 5 at the back, and 5 and 6 is my brother here. I didn't see a 7th one, so let's just do it in that order. Thank you. Just try and be very brief, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Since we are pressed for time, I'm not gonna greet everyone, but all protocol observed. My first question goes to the Komati training program that they are planning. I would like to ask about the strategy, the training strategies that they are planning in regards to training, whether it's artisans or whether it's entry level. What is the whole program entails? Does it mean training people and let them go afterwards? Or does it also include employing those people in the project as Komati gets decommissioned or repurposed? Because training people and letting them go after, it's not doing justice to the people.
Okay.
Because what happens is when you train someone,
Okay,
they exit after.
I'm gonna cut you there. I think that we've got the gist of the question. Is that okay, sis?
But it's not complete.
Okay.
And the other strategy goes to the other question goes to the TVET colleges.
Okay.
Let them include.
Can I ask that you ask one question per person, please? We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Number 2, please.
Morning, everyone. Okay, this is Fortune Sindan from Formic Pty Ltd. We are an emerging IPP. I've got a question for Mr. Peterson of Komati Power Station. In terms of sustainability and local economic development, do your trainings include maybe manufacturing of components, maybe say the manufacturing of solar panels, lithium batteries, and commissioning of inverters? And I heard you speak of the laboratory phase. Will that be a segment that sorts on research as to how this field can be further developed and simplified yet intensified? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Number 3.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I think that lady deserves a chance to finish her questions.
Can you ask your question?
No, wait,
I'll
Chair,
come back
Chair,
to her.
Chair, wait. The problem with public engagement is because you want to limit people when they're talking. And you are not going to hear what people want to say. So, Chair, I would suggest before I talk, give the lady an opportunity to finish the question because we want to hear people's views. So please, Chair, then I'll come after the lady.
Okay. I want to guarantee everyone here, okay? It's a guarantee I'm having, it's a promise I'm having. I will come back to the lady there. I'm asking for an order that we follow the question. Just ask your question and then we continue. Okay. Will that be okay? Sufficient for you, sir? Please. Unless if we have 2 chairs and moderators in this, then that's okay. I'm asking that you ask your question kindly, and then we'll come back. I guarantee you.
The reason why I'm raising this is because we said we want the process to be fair. And if the process is to be fair, we'll need to listen to each and every single person in a proper way. So just I'm flagging that, Chair.
Okay,
so
sorry.
Chair, going to my question.
Sorry, Speaker. Just ending as that. Let me appeal to you that let's try to manage our emotions and be soft with one another. As I've borrowed this power to the panel, I'm still in charge. So I'm asking you just to be soft. We understand your dissatisfaction, but you presented it, and then let's go smooth. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I want. Okay, it's fine.
Sorry, a little bit. They reminded me something I've forgotten. Let's make sure that you ask a question. There will be no second round because we try to manage time as well. So ask, and then you don't have to come back again. Thank you very much, sir.
Working now. So what I want to understand is that
Sir, can you You don't have a microphone there. Can you quickly rush in front and grab my microphone and ask your question?
Yeah, I'll try. So, Chair, basically, what I'm trying to understand is that what skills are we talking about here? Because the normal trend in terms of skills training is industries will train people with a skill that is specific to their sector. And you find that when they declare the person redundant, as they normally do, then that person cannot get work elsewhere. So are we talking about skills that are expandable, or are we talking about specific sector skills?
Okay, I'm going to help you direct that question to the TVET College and ESCOM. Thank you.
Hi to everyone. My name is Zakele. I'm from Siabuswa in the Dr. J.S. Moraka
If
municipality.
you can raise your voice a little bit.
Okay, hi. So my question is, I see everyone is talking here, but I do not see capital. I do not see the banks, the people who actually support all these nice projects that we. So how do we get that? How do we get the conversation?